Okay, I'm back. Not sure what happened in the last video. I think it just cut out. I think I had too much stuff in my storage on my phone because of all these videos I'm making. So I'm going to delete a couple photos and videos from the past, but I'll do that later. So let's just get back into it. We're talking about St. Augustine. We're just going over chapter 7, page 187 and 194. So Augustine, most important thing, he was the prominent Latin father. He was the first one. He wrote two things, the Confessions and the City of God. Very important things. Confessions was basically like he was basically confessing. He was telling him how he didn't like trust in God basically in his early life. And then City of God is defining the difference between the City of God and City of the world. He also set up the views of celibacy, which means abstaining from sexual activity. So the followers basically didn't believe in having sex, and most of them didn't even marry actually. If they did marry, the purpose of sex was for the procreation of children and children only, so not for pleasure. Jerome, he was the scholar of the group. He was the most the smartest book wise. So he read the books of God really well, and he translated the Old and New Testament into the Latin Vulgate, which is very important to know, which is what they used for the common text. So the Catholic Church used the Latin Vulgate, so it's like how PCC uses the KJV. It's their standard version. This was their standard version back then. The Patrine supremacy, based on the belief that the bishops of Rome occupied a preeminent position in the church. So basically that bishops were very important, and that Peter was the first bishop of the time once Jesus gave him the keys to the kingdom. Stuff like that. And then what ended up happening is Pope Leo I. So Pope means father. That's what it translates to. They believed in the Patrine supremacy, so the main bishop became the Pope. And it was the differences between the church and the state, and there was controversies, and basically that the church was important, including with the government, including with the state. And then he set up basically the Catholic Church. This is all setting up the Catholic Church. But yeah, he also, the biggest thing was he met with Attila the Hun, who was supposed to invade Italy, and he convinced Attila the Hun to not conquer them, which is very important. Then the next guy is Pope Gelasius. He's very important, and he's going to be the Pope after him. And he was basically, there's two ruling powers, spiritual and temporal, with different functions. The church was ultimately the higher authority, because all men, including emperors, must look to the church. And if you hear laughing in the background, it's my roommate. I'm in my dorm right now. And then the next pope is Gregory the Great, or Gregory the First. He was very important during this time. He ended up spreading it throughout the Roman states and the Roman territories, and it became, the Catholic Church. He successfully initiated the efforts of missionaries to convert England to Christianity, and was especially active in converting the Germanic parts of Europe to Christianity. And then the next thing you have to know is monks. Monks means someone who lives alone, basically separating themselves from civilization and focusing on being godly and being Christ-like. Monasticism, which developed first in Egypt, was initially based on the model of the solitary hermit who forsakes all civilized society to pursue spirituality. It's just what a monk did. But then later, monastic community soon came to be seen as the ideal Christian society. So that happened with Saint Benedict of Nursia, which is also the next term that you have to know on page 191. And basically what happened there was they had monasteries, what we think of nowadays with monks and nuns. They had monasteries where monks were allowed to live together, but they focused on prayer and manual labor, and they focused on just worshiping God all the time by their works. And they were ruled by an abbot or father of the monastery. And then later on there was nuns who also had monasteries, and then they believed that they could have co-ed monasteries. So they had monks and nuns in the same place, but they're still practicing celibacy, so they didn't marry each other, and they didn't have any type of sexual relations at all. And then the next thing you have to know is St. Patrick. So St. Patrick is very important because he's the spread of the of Ireland's Christianity. So the Christianity that began in Ireland, he was very important. It ended up flowing and building up in Ireland. It was strongly ascetic. Monks performed strenuous fasts, prayed and meditated frequently under extreme privations, and confessed their sin on a regular basis. They believed in penitentials or manuals that provided a guide. So they believe in penitence. So basically, like, if you do something wrong, if you sin, you're gonna fast. It's gonna be basically like it's kind of like almost degrading yourself, but it's at the same time it's just like meant to, like, as a punishment, kind of, that like you sin, now you have to serve penance, and it's what Catholics believe. So they fast a lot if they sin. Basically, if they like broke, like if they had like fornication, if they had any sexual desires, or if they were like disrespectful to their parents, anything like that, they would start fasting, stuff like that. And that's what the Irish believed a lot. So that's what you have to know for this chapter. Sorry it was split up into 2 videos. It was weird because of my storage. I'm going to fix that on my phone. I'm going to delete a bunch of photos and videos I don't need. But yeah, that's what you have to know. Again, just go over the terms on the list, pages 187 to 194. And yeah, I'll be doing my in-person lecture. And then, yeah, so Saturday afternoon, October 30th is probably when I'm going to do my in-person lecture. I'm going to talk to my history class tomorrow, make sure that's good for people. I have a game that night, so I'm going to try and do it before the game. But yeah, so I'll keep you updated on that, and like and subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next video. So adios.